Welcome to the Masterful Man Podcast. This is the show for men who want to explore and embody the principles, practices, and personal power that allow them to thrive amidst today's chaotic world and lead a meaningful life.
Welcome to episode 1. I'm your co-host, Nathaniel. I'm here with Adam Smith and Fabi Boutier. Is that how you pronounce it? Did I say that right?
We have Americanized it into Bouthelette. But you said it.
I made it fancy again.
Yes.
Beautiful.
My name's
so grateful to be here with you guys. This podcast has been a long time coming. A little bit of context. We run a phenomenal men's group called Masterful Man. We've been doing it almost like 4 years or something. Gone through many iterations. We've now landed in this really beautiful membership and community training platform that we have. We have these weekly calls, and we're getting together so much and talking about this stuff and talking to our guys about it that just having another outlet to jam on these ideas, unpack, lots of different, ultimately, just beneficial content for men. There's a lot of different type of ground we want to cover, and I'm just glad that we're getting this started. So thank you guys for showing up. Adam, remind me of our prompt you just told me.
Yeah, so really this week, we're going to have a lot of different, obviously, formats, and we'll have guests and everything like that showing up eventually. But for the first episode, obviously, for you listeners out there, you want to know who the fuck we are and why we chose this work, men's work, and why we are formatting the podcast in the way that we are. So obviously, Nathaniel just mentioned, we jam on this stuff every single week in our own communities, as well as the three of us having our own little men's group together. And a lot of the conversation needs to overflow and has more nuance than we can get into in individual coaching sessions. And so we figured we would take some of the topics that happen not only in the membership, but that are happening out in the news and stuff like that, and unpack them here. And so that's why we're wanting to do this, and what we've been driven to do for the past 4 years with this men's group that we've been running.
Cool. So let's just dive right into that first question, like why men's work. I think we all have our own different answer for that, why this is important to us, how we got into it ourselves, and I'll get the ball rolling. Originally, it's not even about men's work. Just all humans, deserve to be the happiest, healthiest, wealthiest, most productive, fulfilled, peaceful, whatever, all these qualities. Everybody deserves that. And then weirdly enough, there does seem to be a gap for men to get it in a particular way that they're really needing. The simplest meme that we could look at is this notion of, more women going to therapy than men are. While at the exact same time, we kind of preach how Masterful Man isn't therapy. But then we're still meeting a certain need for these men. So a lot of this has to do with like the inner world for men. So men's work really started for me as a man when I actually grew up enough to be like, oh shit, I'm a man, and like my life is up to me and I got to do stuff. I realized the inner work was what was really making the difference, right? It's not that hard in my journey to get good at like doing stuff or getting stuff done or going for it. It was all the emotional turmoil, my self-image, my self-esteem, all these things. And I didn't know where to get support with that for the longest time. It wasn't until I had a partner introduce a David Data book to me when I was like 19 or something like that, or 20. So I'm really lucky I got it so young. But just the notion of cultivating my own masculinity or masculine skills or masculine qualities was a huge turning point in my life. So ever since that point, that's just always been a fun and open conversation with the men in my life. I've been in men's groups, started one back then over a decade ago. And it just always, there's something about it. When you think about guys when they're young, you always have your homies, all the other boys you hang out with, like in the neighborhood or what, and you're getting into trouble you're talking about girls, you're doing your little lemonade stand or trying to find a hustle together, whatever it might be. It's like, we can't let go of that. So it's like grown-up guys, same thing. How do we still help each other play and help each other have fun, but also help each other make money and help each other have great relationships? And I just wrote a post recently about this idea of like letting the men in your life be a fortress for your process.
Yeah.
Right. All guys everywhere are like the main character of their whole movie. And it's a big movie, Planet Earth. It's huge. There's so much going on. So it's a lot to hold. And for some reason, we all got convinced that we're supposed to do the lone wolf thing and we're supposed to hold it all in and just be tough and figure it out. And hey, being tough is a great thing to be. And it's a lot easier to be tough if you can actually, acknowledge where you don't feel tough sometimes and get the support with that. So that's really where I'm coming from. I just feel like creating a central place that men can come together and get what they need, whether it's something, physical, like an experience, they need to shake something off, they need to try something they never tried before, or something emotional or psychological. There's the thing that I'll end with is like, I love also the meme that men are so kind of, I don't know, simple and like easy to please. And I do agree with that in so many ways. And I've learned in my own life to translate that to like the things that I actually need to feel really good and kick ass at my life are pretty simple too. I just actually have to really do them. And so creating a platform for just guys, we're not saying we're smarter than other men, which is why we're doing this. We've been chipping away at it enough to where we're actually into some shit and we're embodying some shit. And it's a lot simpler. It's not always easy, but it's a lot simpler than, men who just try to figure it out by themselves, make it. Yeah. So that's why I'm in, and it's fucking working. So I'm glad we get to do it.
Yeah.
How about you guys? Let's pass it to Fabi.
Yeah, definitely simpler. I love that. I started, I love that you said you got introduced to Way of the Superior Man when you were like 19, because it didn't come my way until I was like 36, 37. Now I've been life coaching in one degree or another for 8 years. And I've been kind of self-aware of my own spiritual growth and inner work and all that for like 15 years. And it was Ken Wilber's book. It's a name some people might know. That really got me going, because I was like, oh yeah, evolution itself is evolving, and I feel like I kind of have always cared about that. But my feeling on the need for men's work is from two perspectives. One, well, like I said, in life coaching for 8 years, people around me have always said that I would be best. They'd be like, you should focus on men. You seem like you'd be a really good men's coach. And I resisted it because I do like working with everyone. And in my one-on-one practice, my most recent client I signed is a woman. I hadn't actually worked with a woman in a while. So I'm excited about that. So being seen as a man that was always comfortable in his own skin. I am a former Navy officer. Everyone, that's almost 20 years ago, but it's such a big point. People who know me, they always say, well, you were a Navy officer. You got to be manly and brave and all that. Yes, but I also lost it. I lost my mojo in my late 20s for a variety of reasons that I'm sure will continue to unfold in this podcast as we keep talking. There are many anecdotes for me to share, but I would say quite simply, I lost my mojo. I stopped trusting myself. I stopped trusting that I can be assertive with other men, not take personally feedback from other men. I really withdrew. And now that I've come full circle on that, I have this perspective like that kind of being a dark night of the soul experience and seeing how it feels divine. I do like the spiritual vernacular on things. And one thing I want to stand for as a man is to make it grounded and not wooey and flaky. I mean, I like that language, but we all know how flaky it can fucking get.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I do have an embodied experience of my life of being a man. like the best athlete in high school, a Navy officer, whatever, and more beyond that. But then also perspective of having lost it and then gotten it back. And now what I like to bring to our space, our Masterful Man community, is I'm not the smartest, fastest, blah, 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 whatever, but I'm not going to step over anything. If you're in my space and you tell me you're going to do something and it doesn't happen, I'm going to say, well, what's up? Not you suck or whatever, but no, what happened? Or if I think you're blowing smoke up your own ass about something, I'm going to say, hey, I think you're blowing smoke up your own ass about something.
That's not something we recommend in Masterful Man, by the way. That's not
doing what?
We don't typically find people blowing things up their ass necessarily.
No. But if you're lying to yourself, and I feel like you're lying to yourself, or I feel like you're just not being forthcoming, I want to call it out. I admit there is a certain impatience within me. Paradoxically, I have all the patience in the world for people who care about well-being and personal development as long as they're moving forward. It's not a race if you're moving forward. But if I see someone sabotaging themselves, deceiving themselves to avoid discomfort, to avoid truth that might be discomfort, then no, I'm not for that. And I think that quite simple point, and we have been working on this for a while, as Nathaniel pointed out, and the three of us here, we're at a point now where it's like, oh, we got this. If you come into our space and you're BSing, you're not going to get away with it. And that's
the epitome of men's work.
We can talk
about
all the other concepts of Matt. We're going to talk about a million other concepts and all that. But that, for me, that's where it boils down to for me. And I'm happy to be in the mix, iron sharpening iron, realizing where I get impatient and triggered still, not as much as I used to, but it can happen still. And I have a group of men to go to be like, fuck, this thing is bothering me. And you guys know, you have context. We've been in relationship. I can reground and center myself faster because there's other men in the world that know me well enough and can do and help me with that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. We're available.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing.
I feel like that's one of the biggest traps for guys is a combination of nobody understands what I'm going through, or nobody could understand, or nobody's ever gone through this before. I'm like so alone in this. And it's almost hilarious to the degree to which the irony of the healing experience that men get to have. We're like, oh shit, literally every guy is somewhere in the same, getting stuck on shit path that we're all in for our entire life, of different things. And it's all the same stuff for everybody. There's like 12 categories of what men need to, be up to, or where they might be having a hard time. And there's no new problems. There's no unsolvable problems. And I love that that's kind of baked into this.
Yeah.
So just a fun little piece to add to that.
No,
Mr.
totally.
Smith.
Yeah, for me, I think my introduction to men's work came a lot like 15 years later than my introduction to personal development work. And so I was like heavy into the feminine energy, especially when I was first starting to go after being my own boss and the entrepreneurial game and everything like that. I've also grew up with mostly my mom and really identified with my grandma when I was growing up. So there's a lot of feminine energy throughout my entire life that I needed, that built me to be who I am today, which is very in touch with my emotions. And it allowed me to, I think, dive into meditation and personal development and all of the thoughts and beliefs and changing all of those things really, really easily. But on the other side of that, I didn't have that hard edge. I didn't know what to do with my anger. I didn't know what to do when things didn't go right. And because I wasn't as practiced in that, I ended up blowing up and having anger issues and having the uncontrolled fire that all men, I think, innately have. And to me, that's what men's work has kind of boiled down to me. It's like taking what you innately have as a man, which is that fire, that full on masculine, whether it's cultivated or not, and molding it into what works for you in a community of other guys that aren't going to allow the bullshit to slide. And I think that's what has really helped me blossom as not only a person, a husband, an entrepreneur, a coach, is finally integrating into not only showing up for myself, but showing up in front of other men who are willing to call me out when I need it, and be called upon when I need it. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's missing for men right now is, do you have a group of people that you can call upon when shit's going down? When it's 10 o'clock at night, most of us would probably be sleeping, but when it's 10 o'clock at night, and like shit's going down and you need other people to lean on, it's great to be able to lean on your female friends. And a lot of the times they are more well-versed in talking about those things than your male friends are. But do you have a community of men that are willing to hold you to a new standard and listen to what you're saying and help you logically and emotionally work through those things? And to me, that's been the highest honor, to be able to do that for other men, and to also my highest vulnerability and the most humbling experience I've ever had, being able to have that happen for myself. Like I said at the beginning of this, we've been doing this for 4 years. Nathaniel, Fabi, and I have had our own little men's group for those 4 years, and we've had really hard conversations, but it's in the context of all of us moving things forward, not only in our own lives, but together as a business and as friends and partners and lovers. Right? Like all of us loving each other enough to have the hard conversations and move things forward. And not a lot of people, and not a lot of men specifically, have that. I was luckily enough to, when I was in college, to have 2 other guys that were like my first initiation into a men's group, kind of. None of us were coaches at the time, but we were going through the complexities of college and long relationships that we were breaking up, and people being married in college, like all of the things that happen in life. And it was a place where we came together every single week and got grounded. And we didn't even know that it was called grounding back then, or a group, or a men's, like we didn't have any concept of that. But it was a place that we all brought our problems, almost like a tribal council of sorts, where we would start out with a little meditation, and then everybody would do a little round robin, and we would go through everything. And we've unknowingly brought that into Masterful Man in the format, and just men's group in general. And yeah, it's been one of the experiences that I love the most out of the last 7 years that I've been running my own business, and 5+ years that I've been coaching.
Hell yeah. I love that. I loved hearing those answers from you guys. Feels really good.
I feel like, interestingly enough, we've talked about that, but we've discussed it, but each of us individually, I don't think, has actually like talked about it.
Yeah,
no, that's true.
That's kind of the case for every little point. It's like this show gets to be fine. Like all 3 of us get to like give a take on something. And for the listeners too, to know, sometimes we'll have solo episodes. Adam might come on and just totally go off on something. Fabi as well. And I'm known to do that. So it's a great outlet for me. I think it's super important for people to know, listening on the first episode too, that we always try to, there's no fluff. We're very interested in this being a very lean kind of show where we're really getting to actionable stuff, making it really applicable for the user. And one of the little examples of that I'll even just shout out right now, we have a resource called the Beast Code. It's a fun way, we're the Masterful Man brand. Over time, we're going to be producing a lot of these different little freebies and trainings and cool resources and things for people to get. So that's something we just launched recently. That's made specifically for, it's like one of the corners of the Masterful Man universe, one that I've tended to quite a bit, where it's like blending some fun little, biohacking and lifestyle hacking and certain little nutrition tips and sleep stuff, and just getting some of these kind of baseline health and energy things really dialed in, because that's a big emphasis that we have at Masterful Man. It's a lot easier to do the emotional work or have the tough conversations or move things forward in your life when you have the bases covered, like sleeping well, eating well, getting outside. And it's incredible that has to be like a tip to give. And everybody listening, there's not a single person. If you listen to podcasts, you have a relationship with how much outside you get or not. Right. And it could probably be better. So it's incredible that is the curriculum. But that we do it for a reason, because it works. So go to thebeastcode.com, thebeastcode.com. And you can get access to that right now.
Yeah. And it's Nathaniel didn't mention, but it's a free 14-day course of like putting these habits and rituals into practice. And it's
like a fun intro to the Masterful Man universe. Like, hey, try some of this stuff out. You might see some things in there that seem a little extreme. And so it's worth seeing how extreme you want to get. Sometimes, what we've found is a lot of the guys in our group, most of the guys in our group, it's not like a simple, subtle, gradual change. It's like usually something comes up, and then there's like an intense amount of energy that gets handled a certain way, gets wielded a certain way. So as men listening to this, it's like, we just had a talk the other day in the call, right? But it's like, don't wait, stop waiting for all the things to be right, or for the right setup, or hoping you're just going to wake up one day feeling extra motivated or something. There's a lot of moves you can make regardless of how you're feeling or how ready you feel, that still create like the gains you're looking for, right? All guys really need in this day and age is a healthy source of progress, right? And a healthy way to get access to that consistently. So if there's one thing we stand for here at Masterful Man, it's like consistent progress, and helping you handle those moments when there's a lot of energy to harness, or to handle. And I think that's what we're best at.
Yeah. And case in point, we wrote the intro to the show 3 seconds before we started it. We showed up here and just did it.
Progress.
Because we've been waiting, and it felt like the most masterful step for us to do is to just move this thing forward, start talking about it, get a place where we get to chat on a weekly basis about all of this stuff, and then put it out there. So obviously we're going to think about what the quality looks like and everything like that, but our main focus is like what's coming up for men right now, and how have we handled that, not only as coaches but entrepreneurs, partners, like all of that, and then what does that mean moving forward for men, and how can we openly talk about those things so that it's not taboo to talk about certain things like porn usage or emotions in men or any of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
As I hear you just talk about Beast Code, which has been your baby, Nathaniel, I realize that we've gotten perhaps the intention behind it, and we've got good at it, is helping guys catch up with themselves, take stock of their lives. What the fuck am I up to? What are my resources? What is going on in my life, romantically, professionally, and everything? Where am I? What the fuck am I doing? What do I want to be doing? And then as we get guys caught up with themselves, even if it's like going to bed earlier, that could be a triggering experience for a guy. Trying to go to bed earlier could be an experience that brings something up for somebody. So all those little adjustments, we help guys get caught up. And then once they're caught up, stay on that leading edge, preventative maintenance, not stepping over any lacks of integrity, not letting resentments fester. We meet regularly so that guys can check in and we go, hey, what about this? What about this? And just cutting off problems before they turn into fucking tragedies and disasters and existential crises. But to get caught up, yeah, you got to start drinking enough water. You should probably think about sleeping. You should probably think about getting out into nature more. As everyone knows, who's been around me, I just drove around the country in my pickup truck for 19 months, slept outside.
Oh, really?
Now, on our first episode, I will remind everyone again.
Yeah.
I just spent hundreds of nights sleeping in tents in the middle of nowhere. And I come back into the world, settled back down here in the DC area. And I'm like, it's very obvious to me how much people are missing night skies. Too much sound pollution's getting them. And no one knows it because everyone hasn't driven around the country for 19 months and explicitly tried to sleep in nowhere.
Yeah.
Most people aren't going to do that. But my point again, bringing these simple shifts, good sleep, right amount of sleep, detoxing off phones, not looking at phones at night. These you hear it a million times, especially if you're watching social media and your algorithms just feeding you wellness tips. Okay, fucking do
Implement.
it.
Yeah.
Fucking do it.
Yeah. So let's this is perfect. Let's kind of wrap up here with the perfect example of the point of this whole show. If you're a guy and or a gal, if you listen to this and you're all the way at the end here, you actually have this massive choice point. And it's this massive choice point that's completely made of all your own power, and it's completely up to you. But hopefully we were able to set a good example and go first, which is shipping it, sending it, publish, hit the button, and we're doing our first episode. So take a moment right now and think about something in your life that you could dedicate time to today, like right after you're listening to this, or whatever next little opening you have today, and just finish something. Like just publish it, post it, send the text back. And if you get totally stumped, make it so simple. Like put the dishes, don't just wash the dishes and put them in the dish rack, like take them out of the dish rack, put them away. Right? Don't just sweep that one little mess while you're making your meal, just sweep the whole floor. Right? Like find some things today where you can have an achieved, completed, like finished feeling. Because just like Fabi's saying, it's like we've adapted so well to the lack of nature and the lack of health and the lack of connection, right? That we need these pattern interrupts sometimes to like remind us what else is there. So ask yourself if you've adapted to the part of you that waits and hesitates and has the excuses and can always do it some other time, or just doesn't feel ready yet. What if it's not about feeling ready? It's about doing the next best step. So that's how Masterful Men are. We fucking go for it. And if that homework you just got was triggering, hit us up. You should probably be in our group. Or if you just like the idea of having homework like that and like having the backup to actually do that literally every week. I think that's the last thing that I'll say as far as a selling point. It's like, really imagine that. I know I've had seasons in my life where like 6 weeks can go by and you're like, oh wait, what am I doing? Did I do anything? Is anything happening? And when we're left just up to us as a man, just by yourself, you can expect something like that. Or you can always expect you missed the most critical stuff, the hardest stuff. Men are so built for like a path of least resistance in so many ways, right? Like instant gratification, keep it cozy and comfy. So if you know you're in any form of that spot, come to one of the calls, hit us up, come experience, come see what we got. And
our way is the most fun, pleasant way.
Exactly.
It will hurt as you start catching up with yourself. it will hurt, and that's why people don't go down this path.
Yeah.
We are also offering you, I think, the most fun, pleasurable way to do it too. We want you to have your fantasies come true, but the right, masterful way.
Yeah.
You will not regret it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come have some fun with us.
Yeah.
Go to masterfulman.com and you can see all the details. You could sign up right now. You could be on, it's Monday today while we're recording. You could be on our Wednesday call if somehow you were listening to this on Monday. But whatever day you're listening to it, we will still have whatever next Wednesday is coming up will be the next call every single freaking Wednesday. So you really can't miss. And then we have our live community app every single day. It's like you have access to us in there every day. It's a place to share wins. You can ask questions, get feedback, share your favorite stuff, just fuck around with some cool dudes and laugh at some memes, whatever floats your boat. And it's available. Doors are open. And thanks for listening to our first episode, guys.
Yeah. Ship it.
Yeah, we're fucking shipping it. And happy to be co-captaining the ship with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We'll see you guys on our next episode. Have a wonderful moment.
Wow.
Or life. Or whatever you'd like. Just the whole thing. Just do it up.